Today we're diving into something really personal. It's a look at a world that is, well, it's vanishing right before our very eyes. It's a story all about memory, about massive change, and about a generation that's caught kind of like a bridge between two completely different ways of life. So let's explore what it really means to be one of the last witnesses.
And it all really kicks off with this statement. It's so powerful, almost haunting, and it captures a feeling a lot of us might have but can't quite put into words. We are perhaps the last people, and it just makes you stop and think, right? The last people? To do what? To see what?
And that's the heart of it, isn't it? Are we looking at a generation that literally saw the end of something ancient? A generation that was there for the final moments of a lifestyle that had been around for centuries, right before it got swept away by this new digital world.
So who exactly are these last witnesses? Let's get a clear picture of the group at the very center of this whole story.
The people we're talking about, well, you could call them the bridge generation. These are the folks born roughly between 1950 and 1990. And what makes them so unique is that they have a foot in two completely different worlds. I mean, they remember a time of tradition, of old ways, and yet here they are today, witnessing the birth of an AI-driven future. They are the living, breathing, human bridge between the analog and the digital.
All right, let's move to our first major contrast and see how this all plays out. We'll start with something we all do every single day: communicate. But man, the way we do it has been totally transformed.
What's really wild here is the emotional difference. I mean, just think about it. The act of sitting down to write a letter, carefully pouring out your feelings onto a page, and then that patient, hopeful week of waiting for the postman. That entire emotional journey, well, it's been replaced by the instant tap of a message. And the argument here is that the connection itself has become as fleeting as those notifications on our screens.
Okay, so from the emotional world, let's get physical. This next part explores the sensory memories of home, the smells, the textures, the actual feeling of a place that, for so many, just doesn't exist anymore.
This slide, wow, it just paints such a vivid picture, doesn't it? You can almost smell and feel this world. And it's not just about nostalgia. It's about a totally different relationship with our environment. The coolness of water from an earthen pot, the flicker of a kerosene lamp, the whole family sleeping together under the stars. These are such deep, sensory memories, and they stand in such stark contrast to our modern air-conditioned, brightly lit homes.
This difference wasn't just in how life felt, but in how it was enjoyed. And that really comes through when we look at the world of simple pleasures, like entertainment and food.
I mean, just look at this comparison. On one side, you've got creativity and community. Homemade toys, games you played out in the street with your friends, stories passed down from your elders. And on the other side, well, you have consumption. Huge commercial theme parks, hours of isolated screen time, and this bottomless pit of digital content. The idea here is that we've shifted from actively participating in our fun to just passively consuming it.
This table just nails the point perfectly. You had the simple joy of that local corner shop, the Hati, right? With its unique traditional sweets like Miranda and Tangri, and a classic Bantha soda. That whole specific local experience has been replaced by the overwhelming, endless choice of a massive department store and global food chains. The simple, local treat has become a branded, global commodity.
Perhaps no other example shows the change in our social values more powerfully than how weddings have evolved. Let's take a look at how a community ritual transformed into a public spectacle.
So the traditional wedding described here is all about connection. Relatives weren't just guests. They were active participants who would show up a whole week early. The nights were alive with music and laughter, not from a paid DJ, but from family members themselves. The focus was totally on the shared experience, the collective joy, celebrated right there in the family home. And the contrast couldn't be sharper, could it? The source argues that today, the wedding is moved out of the home and into a big hall. And the focus has shifted from community joy to, well, a competition of social and economic status. It's become less about the union and more about the performance.
So what does it all mean? What's it like to be the keeper of all these memories? To hold an entire world inside you that no longer exists on the outside? This final section really reflects on that very burden and that legacy.
This quote is just so incredibly powerful and sad. It speaks to this deep sense of displacement. The feeling that while your physical body is here, in this modern, convenient world, your soul, your true self, is still wandering in those old streets and those mud house courtyards. And this brings us to the anxiety that's bubbling underneath all of this. It's not just about missing the past, it's about being genuinely afraid of the future. The fear that as this generation passes, so will the values they represent, leaving behind a world of machine-like humans and artificial intelligence that, sure, it understands data, but it has no clue about feeling.
And so we end with this question, and it's a question that goes way beyond just one generation or one culture. It asks all of us to think about the value of memory itself. When the last witnesses are gone, does the world they knew just disappear forever? What happens to a memory when there's no one left to do the remembering?